Black man. Alright, Htp family. You're tuning into the pro-black perspective on KWAZ Radio. I'm your host, Onitaset Kumat. We being live. I decided to take off the scarf. Got this on. Look at this custom-made calabash. You see how Africa is right side up. You know, some of y'all like having Africa upside down, but you know, I'm putting it right back, right side up. All right, so today we're going to discuss something incredibly important, and this is actually from the reading from last night. You know, so the reading last night, last week, what we spoke about was Lenin and the revolution in Russia, right? And the reality that we as African people like to talk about revolution, but we don't like to do what it takes to have revolution. All right, when Lenin does this Russia campaign, if you will, right? He has a Bolshevik party, right, of 250,000 members. Okay, in order to take now this is the largest nation in the world, but in order to take the largest nation in the world, he has a certain amount of political advocates beforehand, right? Eventually, of course, they go to war, they do a battle, but the main thing that you have to understand is that he has political advocates before the revolution happens. And this is very important because if you're looking for mass action and mass transformation, if you want the masses to be on your side, you have to have a political body that they can refer to know that you will be better than what they already have. You know, I one time spoke with an associate in Africa, or one of the countries in Africa, and they were saying that, you know, their dictator wasn't necessarily the best individual on the planet, obviously, right? But when they were asked about, you know, the opposition, they couldn't say for sure that the opposition would be better than the dictator at hand, like in terms of economic policy, instead of this, sort of that, you know. So to say that we know that they opposed the dictator, but we don't know if they would be better, and that comes from a lack of a political party. Well, I mean, although to be fair, they might have had a political party, but it comes from a lack of a serious, strong political party, in the sense that you should know the economic policies and how they would work and how they're outlined, because the political party, that political body, would be communicating it. So what I'm going to tell you is this. I want to ask what Garland would ask, right? Which is, where is the black man's political party throughout the African world? And I want to clarify too that, realistically speaking, no racial group has a political party throughout the entire world. Okay, so if this were to be the case, you would be the first, right? All the same, it's imperative that you focus on this the task at hand, which is that you have political parties, at least in the different nations of Africa. And if they all have the same name, that's fine too. But it has to be that you focus on these political parties, and of course the question will be why, right? So I'm going to break it down to you why. So what is a political party, right? A political party is a let's say I want to say non-governmental, but you know, it's probably say governmental, but a non-governmental entity, right, that finances political campaigns, right, and seeks massive political unity around a platform and around a certain literature, right? And it also provides a place for the politically minded people to go. So, you know, I'm in the United States of America, and what they have here is the Democratic Party and the Republican Party and all that. But the point is that the Democratic parties have districts where where you can go. Like they have Democratic clubs. Like if you're walking through, sometimes you take a wrong turn somewhere, you're gonna find that there's a hangout for Democrats in that area. You know, and people who are interested in pursuing local government, right, particularly under the Democratic Party, would frequent those locations or go to those locations, try to social climb in those avenues, those areas, you know. this is something that we should be providing throughout Africa, but we're not. You understand? We're not providing. We're not. And the thing is that the Democrats, you have to understand, the Democrats, they seek funds. They do their fundraising, but they also finance the different political campaigns. So if my local assembly district woman, if you will, right, or my congresswoman or whatever wants to run, she appeals to the Democratic Party and they cut her a check. You understand? They cut her some money, or they use their connections on television. They use their connections, their networks to promote and advertise her in the communities, and then or even, you know, her opposition, whatever. And when she or he, when they win this election, then they get on the official Democratic ticket. And the Democrats, if you don't know, they partly pay for the elections or allocate the funds for it. So the reality is that you, as an individual, right, if you don't have this political party, what you're saying to this planet is that you're not worried about the political destiny of your people. That you're not concerned about the political destiny of your people, and that you're willing for another people to have political control over you. Or you want strictly people who can afford national broadcast television and national campaigns or local campaigns or whatever. You only want them, those who could afford it, to actually be a part of the political direction of your nation or your locality. You understand? So, you know, a massive black political party, right, throughout the African world, what that does for us is it makes it so that we can, you know, from wherever we are, like from our living rooms, if you want, right, where we can support the candidates throughout the African world, right, that can forward the platform that we want to see, you know. And that platform could mean anything. That platform could mean the decolonization of education, right? That platform could be the decriminalization of certain of, like, let's say, street vending, right? That policy can be the investment of a nation into light industries and the closing the dependence on foreign intervention, right? There's so much that you can advocate for and that you can strive for if you had these political parties, but instead of doing that, right? Instead of doing that, we sit back and we complain about so-called, you know, Western imperialism, so-called neocolonialism, so-called whatever. We complain about that when everybody else is just doing the damn work that it takes to get us free. You know, I don't know how many times I'm going to repeat it, but Martin Delany said, whatever it costs white people, whatever liberty costs for white people, it costs the same for black folk. You know, white people finance their political parties. White people donate to their political parties. White people have political parties, right? You don't. You know, and the thing is this too, that everybody knows that white people invest in the political parties of nations in Africa, or everybody knows that they invest in politicians in Africa, right? They know that it's free game. They know that anybody could do this, but you don't. You know, you sit back and say, oh, look, you see, this is why, you know, the white man, he calls all the shots. And of course, and look, the thing is that if only one person is calling the shots, then obviously that person's going to call all the shots. Oh, you guys can finally see me making faces, right? But that's what we have to understand when it comes to us. So the question becomes, why don't we do it? You know, and obviously, you know, there's a cost associated with it. There's a cost associated with it. And when I say there's a cost associated with it, what I mean is that, you know, if I go, well, like, here's two things. Here's two things to it. All right. One is this: if I go to a black person, right? You know, particularly in the West. Well, there's a lot to it. But let's say you're in America. Black people in America have quite a bit of money, right? Quite a bit of a disposable income for the most part. You know, obviously not everyone, but for the most part, you know. But here's the thing: you go to them and you say, "Hey, look, how about $6 a month?" You know, that's terribly low amount of money for the liberation of our people. $6 a month, terribly low. That's too much. You're asking too much. You know what I'm saying? You're asking too much. And the thing is this too, that, and it's really important to realize and recognize that if you're asking people in America to finance a political campaign in some other part of the world, right? Like this is partly why, a lot of political campaigns, a lot of political parties are not international. They're national. Because if you are in a certain space, you want to invest in where you are, so to accomplish what you want to accomplish. You don't want to invest in something that's going on where the results are not going to return to you. And that's why, even $6,000 a month is too much for something that you don't see a return on investment in. And $6,000 a month, I just said $6,000 a month because that's like the cost of a streaming service. But of course, anybody will remind you, hey, that's the cost of a streaming service. But at least the streaming service is giving me something to stream. Now, obviously, and so, I would also say, look, a lot of people, real talk, they just don't care about the African world. We don't care about, like who cares if the Jamaican, like, real talk, if the Jamaicans, if Jamaicans, cut off the hair or tell you that you can't wear locks, in school, who cares? What's that got to do with me? If I'm in New York City, right? If I'm in New York City, why should I care? And the only thing I'm going to do is if I see it, I'm going to say, black people so backwards. Look how they behave and this dude's going to tell me, get a wireless keyboard. And he's going to tell, what we're going to do is we don't care about the African world in the sense that if we see Jamaica is doing that, right? If we see Jamaica is backwards, we're not going to. What we're going to do is complain about it online. We're going to say, oh, look how Jamaica's backwards. We're not running candidates in Jamaica, right, that would try to industrialize and build up that country. And we don't care to. We're not, if Haiti, if the infrastructure in Haiti gives way for an earthquake, we're going to complain and say, you know what, I think the Clintons did, I think the Clintons did something, blah, 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 and they the way how they hustled rice and blah, 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 right? But we're not necessarily saying how much we invested in whatever politicians were there to develop the infrastructure of that country. We are trained to complain, right? And in so doing, right, everybody else can run us over. Now, and the third thing I do want to say about this, because it not only does it cost money, and not only do we not really care, and it's not really related to us, and let me just tell this brother right here, instead of trolling, this is actually a calabash, so it's hollow. But what I want to say is, it's a risky business. Politics is a risky business. When like speaking of Clinton, right? When she lost, what happened with the Democrats, the white Democrats, or whatever, the Democrats, they invested maybe, I can't remember how much money, but maybe $500 billion into her, right, into her campaign, right? Let's just make up a number, right? All of that money goes to waste. It goes to nothing. Now, of course, you could get kickbacks if you're smart and you do. It's a risky business, but you could get kickbacks. For instance, like I said, when I was in Jamaica, matter of fact, hold on a second, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So when I was in Jamaica, I came across these, right? And this right here is bigger, right? It's made in Jamaica, right? A product of Jamaica. And this right here is chubby, and it's hold on a second. I think it's Trinidad. So these are bottled. This is bottled in Jamaica, bottled in Trinidad. And these, when I'm sitting in Jamaica, I'm saying to myself, if we in America, because if you understand just how much the dollar is worth in Jamaica, right? The U.S. dollar is worth a little bit more in Jamaica, not really too much more, but a little bit more, right? And because of that, even if you were to buy this for, the only thing is that they don't use decimal point. So instead of saying $1, they say $100, right? So if you were to buy this for $100 in Jamaica, or just $1 in Jamaica, right? And even just straight up sell it for $1 in America, you make a profit just based off of the fact that the US dollar was worth more. You know, just getting a US dollar is better than getting a Jamaican dollar, right? Now, if you buy this wholesale, right, and you manage to get the shipping and the so on and so forth, if you buy it wholesale, right, cheap, you know, like let's say you get it for 10 cents or 20 cents or whatever, right, and you manage to, you know, obviously you have to have a boat and you have to have this and so on and so forth, but you have all this, and you know, you get to the port and you get your distribution network, all that, and you sell it for, you know, let's say you can sell it, sell for $1, but you can sell it for $2, right? Instant business, instant money from the diaspora. Okay? Now, I'm not 100% or 200% sure that this is like a strictly black-owned company. You know? I'm not 200% sure about that, right? Because, you know, I look at the, you know, CEO board and look kind of diverse or whatever. But what's important, right, is that now you would have industry in the back door of America, right? It was important that you'll have international trade. And the thing is that if you're a politician, if you support politicians in Africa, right? If you support politicians in Africa or the diaspora, right? What you're going to do is that you're going to be able to cut these business deals and advance your people. You know, give your people their own employment, their own so on and so forth, and you're going to be able to circulate the black dollar like you say you want to. You know? Because, see, circulating the black dollar when it comes to without industry doesn't make sense. Circulating the black dollar when you don't have the power of industry doesn't make as much sense as when you do. You know? And then you could go through this managerial class. You could go through, you know, recruiting black folk, the down and out black folk in around the world into management positions of different factories that you're establishing, because when you have the budget of a nation, you can then afford the boats. You see? When you have the budget of a nation, then you can afford airplanes. You can afford railroads. You can afford railways. You understand? And it's only imperative that you out-campaign the opposition. Now, of course, you know, the opposition is going to be, you know, America them and all that, right? You know, they're going to try to finance their own candidates and so on and so forth. So again, like I said, it's risky business, right? But it's not to say that it can't be done. And what you can do is you can decolonize the continent, and this would be an intelligent way of doing that. But you have to be serious and say to yourself, you know what? I have to give before I get. You understand? Right? You understand what I'm saying? Now hold on a second. I'll put this back. You know, man had to wash his hands, right? But this is really where it comes down to. You know, do we as an African people, you know, say to ourselves that we can invest in ourselves, or do we just let other people invest in us and then whine and complain about it? You know. So I don't want to be too long. You know, we have to really. They'd rather buy old boom juice, right? You know, what we have to do is we have to. I'm saying this, that if we're going to do about this political party, we have to be serious about it. You know, we have to get together and say to ourselves, how can we what are the countries that we can get into to actually, you know, have the, you know, that they can go through with international financing? What are the countries that have honest elections? And what are the posts, and who really needs the support? You know, I don't know why Mchaka is trying to be a comedian, but He's trying. Anyway, so I don't know. I don't know what we have to brainstorm and figure that out. You know, because right now what we're doing is we are not trying to figure out how to really take advantage of the situation around the world. And instead what we're doing is we're whining and complaining that nobody else is doing for us. When no one else will. You understand? No one else will do for us. So I would say before anything, obviously, what I want you to do is I want you to read the literature that's available, right? I want you to read the, obviously the pro-black perspective. Right there, if you didn't tell, that's the Book of Power. Sorry, the pro-black compendium. Right there's the Book of Power, right? I want you to read these books because I think that if we're running a political party, if we're financing the political careers of black people, we want them to be well read, And I think there's a list of books that I believe we should read if we really want to be, thinking forward about what we need to do as a race. And this is on top of the list, okay? Now, obviously, that's the book I offer, right? Now, the next thing I want to say is that I want you to come to the Discord. If you're serious about working together and building something, then come onto the Discord and let me know that that's what you want to do, okay? Because I can't read your mind, I can't read your mind, and I can't see how many people want to do something. Because even when we talk about, 6,000 months is too little, it's too little, right? The reality is this, that you could do tiered payments. You could say, some people pay $6, some people pay $5, some people pay $20, some people pay whatever, right? And then when it comes to voting on a situation that should be on the platform, the people with the bigger payment, obviously, whatever, just as a one more clap. All right. just as a way to ensure, this is an incentive towards us really doing something. But of course, I also want us to read. I want us to read these books. I want us to read the literature, so that when we meet up, we're all of a sane mind. Because again, when you think about a political party, they have a platform, but they also go for mass unity and they go for literature. Because even if you look at Mao Zedong, he had a little book that he shared, and that the Chinese people in general were reading in order to be informed on how to go about and go through with their plans for liberation and their plans for revolution. So if we're truly about revolution, or if you truly are interested, and again, Lenin had 250,000 people. If we have how many people, really gearing and focused on the literature and focused on the history and devoted and dedicated to financing the political campaigns throughout Africa, right? Or throughout the African world. If they're really serious about that, we can have material change. But it takes for you to get serious and mobilize to, like I said, read the books, but also come on the Discord and say, look, this is what I want to do, And if when we have those many people saying we want to do this, we know that there's a candidate, let's say in Tanzania. We know there's a candidate in Tanzania who wants to do this and wants to do blah blah, and there's a citizenship, and there's decolonization, and there's the program, and there's this, so on and so forth. If we have that, right, we're set. We're set as a people. Because, and I want to stress this, I want to emphasize this, even before Nkrumah became the Prime Minister of Ghana, he was in a political party. Okay, even before Jomo Kenyatta became the president, he was in a political party, right? Even before Mugabe was a revolutionary, soldier or whatever, he was in a political party. Everybody is in a political party, but us. And then we wonder why we're not living as much as them. So, thank you so much for listening. thank you for tuning in. And you know, enjoy the rest of your day. But you know, I appreciate it, and you know, we'll chat again soon. All right. So Shem Yam Hotep and Asante Sana.